because we do it out of goodness. It's like we love our children. So we think, oh, let me give them these things. Maybe I didn't have these things, so I want my children to have these things. And then just...
Thank you for joining us once again for our Radiant Family Moment. On behalf of Pastor Todd and Kelly, we want to just thank you so much for taking some time out of your day so that we can partner with you as you raise passionate followers of Jesus that will impact our world. And today we're going to continue with our third segment with author and national speaker Arlene Pellicane. It has been so good so far. I mean, what you have really explored in exposing screen time and what it does to our kids has been powerful. And today we have the opportunity to start learning some A+ skills to help our kids become better equipped in this world that they're now
We're going to help them get good grades. No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
It will, though, indirectly.
That's perfect. So I want to start off, we're going to talk about affection, but my favorite line is, phones are like new babies. We cuddle them, and when they make a sound, we come running.
That's right. You remember when your kids were babies and you really did come running, right? Like, what does my baby need? So we have these babies now, right?
Oh, my.
And it means we dress them. You know, I've got little avocados on mine. And when they make a sound, we look at them. We keep them close. We want to make sure they're never too far away. So we kind of have this new digital baby. So both for adults and for kids. And it's humorous because we think that's funny, but oh my word, that's true. So I'm going to put my baby down way over there.
And if it makes a beep, we'll all ignore it.
Exactly.
So you talk about these 5 skills, and we'll go over them one at a time, but why are these skills important?
So there are 5 A+ skills that we talk about in the book. And you know, I was teasing about the academics. We know about the academic A's, but there are social and emotional A's that are even more important to your child's success. So we'll kind of go deep in them, but let me just give you an overall view of them. So they're affection, if your child can give and receive love. Appreciation, is your child grateful or are they entitled? Anger management, your kid's gonna get mad, but what do they do with that? Apology, can your child take responsibility and say, I did that and I'm sorry? And attention, can your child take a wandering attention and just boop, laser focus and have that self-control to be there when they're supposed to be there? So those are the 5 A+ skills. And I dare say that most kids know the A+ skill of amusement. Like we're really, really good at amusement, but we're not as good at these A+ skills.
That's really good. So we're going to go into the first one, which is affection.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because when we talk about that, I think affection, and you refer to this, eye contact is a big deal.
Yeah, so think of it when you feel loved. I remember when my husband and I were first dating, what do you do when you're first dating? You just look at each other for hours, right? If you did that now, your spouse is like, what do you need? Why are you staring at me? So that eye contact. So when you're talking to someone and you're looking at them, you're expressing, I care about you, I love you, you're more important to me than other things. And so now, where does eye contact go? It goes to the baby. I'm gonna pick it up again. It's here. So that affection is not necessarily being felt between a mother and a child, a father and a child, because our eyes are downward. Wow. And so as this book is written with Dr. Gary Chapman of the 5 love languages, if you're familiar with those love languages, you'll think, okay, if maybe my child is a physical touch child. That's what my daughter Lucy is. When she was 2, she'd say, huggy, huggy. That was all she wanted first thing in the morning, huggy, huggy. So if your child's playing video games, you're probably not like, oh, let me sit next to my child and watch him play this video game. You're thinking, fabulous, let me go run the other direction as fast as I can and get a few things done. So now that affection of showing physical touch, maybe you used to take your child and put them on your lap, a young child, and read to them. But now it's like, you got busy, and now they're using the tablet instead, and the tablet reads out loud to them. So all of a sudden, this affection, physical touch, has been replaced by technology. Maybe your child is words of affirmation, that they love hearing those words of affirmation. Well, we talked about this on an earlier day. The more screens are present, then conversation goes down. And maybe because we're on screens, we don't notice that our child just, held their tongue instead of like really laying into their sister. They were actually quiet. Maybe we didn't notice that. But if we had been paying attention, we could say, hey, later in the day, hey, I noticed you could have really screamed at your sister earlier today, but you didn't. good job. Like, that was good. So those are words of affirmation that shows your child affection. But sometimes we miss that because we're not talking as much, we're not noticing as much. So yes, our technology, it's playing a big part in if people are really feeling loved.
Okay, so Arlene, continuing on about the love languages, they're so good. Can you talk to us more about how quality time has to do with social media and what we're going through right now?
Can you imagine during COVID? Like, talk about quality time.
Like a little too much.
A little too much quality time. All of a sudden you're like, wow, look at this. We have 10 hours a day together for months on end. And so that question of technology, do you feel like you did spend quality time with your kids through this coronavirus time and even moving forward? And it's a good question. And so one of those love languages is, your child feels love when they spend quality time with you. I have one daughter who's Noelle, one of her love languages is quality time. So if I say, I'm going to the grocery store, she'll be like, I'll come with you, because she just wants quality time, right? So if you have a child that's like this, then you want to always say, yeah, come on with me. And then you want that time to be as device-free as possible. Like, we get it. You're going to take your phone and you might get a phone call. Like, we get that. But for the most part, ignore your phone and spend time with your child. Whoever's texting you, unless it's an emergency that you're waiting for, you know what I mean? They can wait. Like, they don't need, we're so used to thinking, they need their answer right away. But they really can be answered in 2 hours. Like, that's not going to make a big difference in whatever's being texted to you. But the quality time that you spend with your child, because what happens with a child, if they think they're spending quality time with you, but you keep checking this, then they're like, okay, this is not quality time. This is I guess I'm second, because what it communicates to the child is, this is more important to me than you.
Wow.
And guess what? We're modeling how they're going to be, right, with their future families and with their friends. And so they've done a study where they put 2 strangers together, and they have phones that are present, and then they just have them chat. And they'll say, I didn't really hit it off with that person. They seem kind of distracted, et cetera. They do the same thing, but they don't have any devices present. And then the people will report, I really enjoyed that. I felt like we connected. And it was just by the presence of a phone. Because the presence of a phone and quality time, it's like that third wheel that's like, I could ring at any moment.
Yeah.
I wonder what's on social media. I wonder what's on the news. Maybe I should get a little work done while we have this gap. Let me just answer that email while we're waiting. And the quality time then is sacrificed. So that's a biggie. Acts of service is another form of love languages, and your child might love it when you do something for them. And so for this kind of child, it might be, fixing a bicycle, or, fixing something that they need, or cooking their favorite meal. And so think of, how can I show affection to this child? And then one that's always popular is gifts, the love language of gifts. And so people think, well, technology then. So should I give my child a phone,
Great
an
question.
iPad, a video game, because their love language is gifts? So maybe I should give in to them and give them a gift. And you just have to kind of peel that back and say, just because their love language is gifts, you can go get them a puppy. You don't have to get a device. And so you really do have to fast forward. If I give my child this gift because they're asking for it, whether it's a tablet, video game, etc., you just have to move that forward. 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 1 year from now, am I really going to be happy that I gave that? Was my child ready for that gift?
That's good.
Were they mature enough to handle the gift? People will ask all the time, right, about the smartphone.
Oh, yeah.
So if you find that your child is not really responsible with their chores, they're not walking the dog, they don't do their homework without being asked, they don't clean their bathroom, what makes you think? Because they'll say, Mom, if you get me the phone, Dad, if you get me the phone, I'll do everything you tell me to do.
Yes.
I'll do it. It's like, okay, no track record, buddy. So you need a track record of responsibility before you give these kinds of gifts. You need age. My daughter is 11. She doesn't have a phone, and she'll joke this thing is really expensive. I'd probably lose it. I'm kind of glad I don't have one, and we joke about that. But these are expensive gifts. we are putting in the hands of our children. And it's okay to be like, honey, I'm going to get you a t-shirt. I'm giving you a different gift because this gift is way too expensive and it's not healthy for you. So don't give your child technology just because you think, what's their love language? It's
I love
gift.
how in the book you talk about too, it doesn't have to be buying something all the time, like, hey, you're whiny, here's a gift, anything like that. But it could be something homemade.
Yeah.
It could even just be the way you wrap it, how you guys talk about here, how it makes that child feel special.
Yes.
So I love those.
Yes, it's the thought like I was thinking of you, and that's the gift. I was thinking of you, and I picked this flower. I was thinking of you, and I wrapped it fancy, and that speaks to them.
That's really
So
good.
good.
Okay, so let's talk about the next one, which is appreciation, which may be considered a lost art.
Yes, exactly. It's please and thank you.
Gratitude.
Right? It's like what you want to teach all your kids, please and thank you. So it's the idea, is your child, if you have a grateful child, think of just that, how does that child live? It's like they're in school and they're grateful that they have a teacher and they have an education. You know, there was a story that I put in the book about someone who went to Africa and he thought, okay, I'm talking to these kids from Africa. What's a common thread I could talk about? So he said, I'll talk about how they all hate homework and hate school because every child hates homework and hates school. And to his amazement, he's like, these kids don't hate homework or school. They think I get to go to school, right? And American children many times think, I got to go to school. I have to do this. So helping your child get from, I got to do this, I got to do my homework, got to do my, they're like, I get to. I have a house.
Yes.
I get to clean my room. I have a room.
Yes.
I get to clean my room. You know, and this is all, it's just flipping the switch from complaining to gratitude. And that gratitude, it's not just something you're born with, it's a muscle. And it's strengthened when it's used, and it atrophies when it just kind of lays dormant. And so for young kids, you want to be saying, oh, well, say thank you. Like you're telling them, you're priming them. You're at a restaurant, you get to practice. Say thank you to the server. You know, you're in kids' church. Say thank you to Pastor Manny. Say thank you to Miss Carmel. Those are really good ways to help your child be grateful, not just expecting, well, they come to church. Is that all you got? That was so boring. That wasn't exciting at all. Because that's what we're seeing, this entitlement of this didn't thrill me, this didn't excite me, don't you have anything better? And why are kids like this? It's because when they're on a device, the device is like it bows to them.
Wow.
So the device says, oh, you don't like this video? Don't worry, I got 100 more I can show you. Oh, you're bored? Right, exactly at this moment, I can fix that. Everything is instant and they have choice. And so a child grows up thinking, I can choose whatever I want and I can have it right now. And they go out in life and they feel entitled. Like, why do I have to do that homework? That's way too hard. Like, that's ridiculous. That's an unrealistic expectation. I'm not gonna do it, you know. And so help your children become more grateful really by limiting their time with devices, because the more limited they are in their time with devices, they're spending more time in the real world to be more appreciative of the things they have. If they ask, I want the newest iPhone, and they get it 2 weeks later, right? They're just like, cool. Right. But if they had to save their money, if they had to work, paper out, do they have those anymore? You know, if they had to like walk dogs to earn money, and they earn money and then they receive this thing, then what's going to happen? They're going to be so much more grateful and appreciative of having it. You know, I had a friend who, for their first kid, they just gave the laptop in high school, and you know what happened? It got all banged up, they'd lose it, all these things happened. But the second kid, they're like, you have to pay for half. And that kid was like, took care of it, always knew where it was, because they appreciated the value of it. So you don't have to give in to every latest whim of your kids, and instead let them wait, and it makes them more grateful. Because the thing is, if as a kid they're getting every single thing they want, as Dr. Chapman says, for when they become teens and young adults, they can't be pleased. They're like bored, they've seen it all, they're like, what's the next thing? But hey, if they're a little deprived and they get older, they're like, this is awesome, this is amazing. I love, that was the most interesting lecture I ever heard, because I haven't heard it. You know, you get it. They're more grateful when that technology, that instant gratification and endless choice, that's not their life, they become more grateful.
When it puts value on what it is. But in the book, I love how you give practical tips even for families with younger kids, how coming up with games of gratitude and going to volunteer somewhere so they can, at a soup kitchen somewhere,
Right.
and then realizing, what do we have at home? So amazing tool that we have in here.
Yeah,
Thank
that you can see, like one of them's like grateful hot potato. So you have
Yes.
something and you throw something to your child and they have to say something they're grateful for and then they throw it to you. And you just keep going until you can't repeat anything and just make it a habit of saying like, what are we thankful for today?
Yes. Thanksgiving every day.
Thanksgiving every day.
When you're sharing that, I think of my own personal story. I bought my first car, and I appreciated that car. And as I share the story with my kids, I hear myself and I'm like, I sound like an old man. But the reason I share it is because there is a value in it. I see that value, and I have to be willing to impart that value by letting them go through those moments of earning so that they can appreciate.
Because we do it out of goodness. It's like we love our children. So we think, oh, let me give them these things. Maybe I didn't have these things, so I want my children to have these things. And then just to realize once in a while that's okay, but for the most part it's like, wait, but that was good that I did have to work for that car, etc.
Well, thank you again for joining us for this Radiant Family Moment. We've only dived into the first two skills, so we have more to share. So be looking out for the future segments. But for now, Arlene, thank you again for joining us and sharing what you have today.
Great to be with you.